I am here with Gerda Stevenson, who is the writer and director for Skeleton Wumman, which opens this week. I'm also with Natalie MacDonald, who's director of British Sign Language and has translated the script, and with Raymond, who's a Solar Bear apprentice who's been working on the project as well. So just to start off, tell us about where Skeleton Wumman came from, because it's an Inuit story originally, isn't it?
It is, yes. I found it in a book of folk tales, and there are various versions of it on the internet. Skeleton Wumman pops up in all different, forms, and in several cultures, several North American Indian, Native American Indian stories. And it's a story about rebirth and regeneration. And when I had my daughter, who has Down syndrome, I attended Donaldson's School for the Deaf, where they had a wonderful course for parents of deaf babies and toddlers, signing books for these babies, these children. My child is not deaf, but she had speech delay, and a friend of mine who was involved in this thought it might be a good idea. And we had this wonderful British Sign Language teacher who was deaf. And at the time I was rehearsing during the day in the Royal Lyceum doing Edwin Morgan's Phaedra, playing Phaedra, which was just kind of torrentially verbal. And then every Tuesday evening for 15 weeks, for 2 hours we were silent, learning to sign these books for babies, and it was just so different, and it was so eloquent, every bit as eloquent as the spoken Scots, the literary Scots of Morgan. And I just thought, we've got to do something with this, and for some reason it sort of got tied up in my mind with Skeleton Wumman, and I decided I would write this with a deaf character in it, and that at some point I would do this. So I wrote it as a monologue, and the Travers took it on just as a rehearsed reading of a monologue, which was a purely static thing with just a microphone and an interpreter for the deaf and musicians. But it was just a rehearsed reading. That was 2 years ago nearly, and now we're doing it at Oran Mor, and I've written it with dialogue, and I've completely integrated the deaf character. And he is also signing for Skeleton Wumman, so it's a completely bilingual.
It is, yeah, and it's all completely interrelated. It's all embedded in the very fabric of the piece and the story.
Because so often you go to the theatre and you'll see British Sign Language. You'll have somebody in a corner off to the side, or musicians off to the side as well. Just doing a bit of kind of peripheral. They're treated peripherally, and I just thought it would be so exciting to make this all part of the whole thing.
Yeah, and so, it's a very heightened piece of storytelling theatre. You've written it in really rich Scots, and then there's a live musician as well. So it's something slightly different for us here for many different reasons, but it's got that beautiful celebration of language and communication and at the very kind of heart of it.
Absolutely.
So how have you worked incorporating British Sign Language? So how have you worked in the rehearsal room to?
Well, about I don't know, how long ago was it, Natalie? About 12 or 13 years ago. This Skeleton Wumman piece has been cooking in my brain for a long time. And I did a week's workshop with Communicado with it, just with the story. Not even, just the legend. I hadn't written it as a monologue even at that stage. And Natalie came in to help, and because I wanted to do it with sign language right from the word go. And we had a musician, we had John Sampson way back then, and John has always said since then, when are you going to do that Skeleton Wumman? I like that, So Natalie, I got in touch with her fortuitously and with great kind of serendipity through the actor Buchan Lennon, who is doing British Sign Language throughout the production. And he suggested I go to a workshop, and I thought, Natalie MacDonald, that must be Natalie Garrity, who did the workshop, So I got in touch with her, this was like 13 years hence, and said, could you come in and could we do it? And I was very excited, so I was like, oh, finally! Yes!
And how did you find translating the script? Because you went through the whole script, and it's in quite dense Scots. And
when I met with Gerda, she'd given me the script and I'd had a look at it and I thought this marries so beautifully with BSL. It will work beautifully. But with Buchan, he is a hearing actor, although he's playing both a hearing character, a deaf character. He's also playing the kind of signing narrator of the skeleton woman. He's all in the one. So he was saying to me, well, if we're working together, he says, can you give me a transcription? And trying to explain the process of that is, yes, I will use this as a starting point, but it will 100% change once we're in the space, and that concept was quite difficult to try and understand, and it's really difficult to work with, because when you're learning lines, the words will always be the same, but the emotion behind them, or the feeling behind them will change. So it's just the intonation or the way you say the word that will change, but the word will stay the same. However, that will have a huge impact on how you sing it. So when I was working at home, I was doing it what I would translate it as. But this is Gerda's writing. So coming into the rehearsal saying, well, I kind of thought you meant this, this and this, this is why I've signed it this way. However, if we change it to that, and we had that discussion saying, well, I want it to feel like this, this and this, okay, we've changed it, and it built and built and built, and having EJ coming in to the rehearsal room to be able to say, yeah, that reads better, no, actually change that sign to this, oh, you're absolutely right. So it was a complete team of everyone working together and putting a bit together.
It's been a totally bilingual rehearsal room, which I just love. I mean, my husband's Gaelic and my son has Gaelic. He's literate and fluent in Gaelic. So to me, it's a wonderful thing to have a bilingual situation.
Yes.
And so I just loved this rehearsal process, and it was great having EJ in.
So can I ask EJ, what was your experience of being in the rehearsal room? How did you find it?
Something I really didn't expect, especially having an actor who was already a BSL user is really unusual. And to compare it with myself and understanding about the translation into BSL was a process that I was looking at. You could see that was a challenge for the actor. And of course, the words being so rich, you don't want to lose that. So how do we keep that and keep it with BSL to marry it, as opposed to just doing word for word translation, but getting the emotion, as well as being able to make it accessible to a deaf audience, so that they can understand the picture of what's happening on the stage. So it's been a beautiful language, a lovely process to work with.
I'd like to ask EJ what she feels about the music, because of course, as a deaf person, she doesn't hear it, but I've tried to make the musician physical in her playing, so that there's a kind of physical gesture that is a kind of version of music for the deaf audience and for the hearing audience.
Yes. I think it's fantastic that the music is visual and it's involved and it's not at the side of the stage, because if it wasn't there, I wouldn't know there was music happening. So I can see that there's music happening and I can see the music moving, and then the actors react to that a lot of the time, and it's linked together, so I know that when he's breathing there's sound happening at the same time, there's music there. It's beautiful, it's really beautiful.
Brilliant, good.
So I think my work cut out for me now, because I've got to take the script and redo it again to write it up in the way that we have created it.
All right.
So I'll see you in 2 years.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, need to go get the actors so we can get the first show down.
5 minutes.
Yes. But this show will also be on at the Traverse Theatre in Edinburgh next week and at West Yorkshire Playhouse the following week. So there's lots of opportunities to see it. Thanks, everybody.